Okay, so we're back. We've been little MIA. I mean, we've had a lot. We've been trying to revamp and we've been working our asses off behind the scenes on some things. And girl, you ever here like sitting out by your pool and shit? And I'm
I
like,
I rearranged my little studio and I'm really short, so I couldn't put my background back up, and I asked my husband and all my adult kids, and I mean, I can't even reach the damn ceiling with the step stool.
I know
So
people, I don't think people understand that you are legitimately the size of Santa's elf.
I don't know about that, but I'm
Like,
definitely short. 4'11".
I get worried starting December 1st because I always think you have to go back to work at the North Pole. So December, I'm always worried, are we going to get to do
Okay,
shows or not?
listen, you have been, like, trading notes with my husband. He talks crap about me being short, but I think, like I told you earlier, I figured it out. He's just jealous because he can't jump on the bed without hitting the ceiling. I can.
I can't jump on the bed without hitting the ceiling either, so I'm a little jealous too. What
Exactly.
can I say?
Like, I jump on the bed and I can't reach the ceiling still. So,
You want to
yeah.
know it's crazy? So in no bullshit, I swear to God, I was like, I think I had turned 30 or 31, and I got dressed to go out, and I told my husband, I said, "Babe, I think I grew." Now, mind you, I have to buy like extra long jeans. Like I have to order my jeans by length. I'm already tall for a girl, but my legs are really long. Like I have a shorter
Mm.
torso, but I have really long legs.
Hmm.
And so I said, babe, I think I grew. And he's like, bullshit, you're whatever. And I went and put on one of my favorite pairs of blue jeans that I have had forever. Like I am a diehard, put my cowboy boots on, wear my Wranglers, wear my Rock Revivals, my Miss Me's, whatever. And so I go in my closet and I get a pair of jeans that I know are actually cut to my cowboy boots, right?
Mm.
And I put them on and they're literally up my ankles. And I was like, I told you I grew. My pants didn't shrink. I grew. And so when I went to get measured, like to get jeans, I was like, remeasure my length or whatever. And I ended up having to add like another 2.5 inches, 3 inches to my jeans.
Oh,
I
wow.
grew at like 30. Like, why? I wanted to be
You
short. And
know,
I'm
though,
like,
wonder if it's just
Amazon.
posture or something, you know?
I'm like an
Like,
Amazon woman compared to all my friends. Now all my friends are little and they're like short. And here I am looking like the fucking
well, that's
linebacker
like
for the
the other
Tennessee
day.
Titans.
Like the other day when you were, going through your stuff. I was like, "Oh my god, I wish I could give you a hug. You could climb in my lap. Wait. I have to
Reverse.
climb in your I have to climb in your lap."
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what, like, look, my friends will try to console me, and I'm just like, it looks like the Jolly Green Giant and Sprout. Like, why? I didn't want to be tall. I was always one of those girls that wanted to be short.
Oh, no.
And yeah, no, I
I
wanted to stop at like 5 foot. I was like, I'm good at 5 foot. And then like I just kept going. And like now I'm like standing like, five. I think I'm like 5'10". And it's just, it sucks. I put on a pair of high heels and I'm like 6'3".
I wear my Converse, I'm 5 feet, so if I wear heels, I might get to 5'3" or maybe. Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
I'm
I
literally
might go to
like,
my so my husband's 6'2", I'll go to his shoulder if I'm in heels. Barefoot, I don't even come out to his nipple. It's
that's
funny.
so funny. So Grant is like 6 foot.
Mm.
Okay. So like we're nose to nose pretty much.
Aw.
It's so funny.
Kinda cool for kissing though, right?
I mean, kinda, but then like I can headbutt him too.
See, I would rather be there than be tossed around like a rag doll. Like, mine can pick me up and run around the room with me, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is not good." Like, there's
I
no upper
mean,
hand here. Like, I'm
I have,
screwed.
but it's crazy. I have like friends that still do that to me, and like it. So when I was in high school, or I wasn't even in high school yet, I went to prom with this guy, and he, of course, played basketball. He was 7'1", and I was 5'1". I weighed 125 pounds, and he weighed 285 or like 295. So there was 2 feet of difference and almost 200
Mm.
difference in us. It was so crazy. and we walked down the and so I have friends that even at my height now and that have known me all these years, I walk down the stairs to get ready to go to prom with them, and one of my friends goes, "Holy shit, it's the Jolly Green Giant and Sprout." And to this day, all these years, I can be like at a bar and hear Sprout.
Oh, wow.
Bitch, I'm a big ass sprout. I've grown into the real, I'm a plant, not a sprout. But
Right.
so I still get called that occasionally, and it drives me like bonkers. Like you
Mm,
can't see. So like I have all my nicknames that I've had all the years, and Sprout is probably one of my. It just
right.
will never go away ever.
Yeah. I don't
But
really have any nicknames. No,
I have a
not
lot.
really.
There are probably some that we shouldn't say out loud.
Oh, yeah,
Truthfully,
no. That's for the bedroom. Shh.
I
Um,
mean, whatever.
well, anyway,
So
so we should probably get back on track
yeah,
here.
we probably should. You know what? I've been a little sporadic, so
I
everybody bear with
know.
me. I'm not exactly like it's just been a really rough week. I've had a lot going on, and
Mm.
you know what? Like I've just kind of been here, there. So I'm a little off my game and a little off kilter today. So we're gonna muscle through.
And
We're
I'm just really hot, okay? It's California and we've seen triple digits and it's hot.
same
Like it's hot.
here.
I'm hot.
Mississippi is like I tell people that don't know or don't understand our humidity here. If
Oh
you want to
yeah,
know what
no,
it's
I know the
like,
humidity there. Yeah.
if you want to know what it's like, I want you to go take the hottest shower you can, close the door, turn your heater on, get out of the shower, put your clothes on while you're soaking wet, and that is
Oh yeah, no.
literally
The humidity is
welcome to
outrageous
hell.
out there, yeah. But,
So
yeah, I don't care where it is in the summer. I'm gonna complain. I don't like the heat. I like to be cold. I prefer to be cold all the time. I want to be cold.
29
I'm
is better
not.
than 99. I said what I said.
Huh?
29 degrees is better than 99
Exactly.
degrees.
Thank
I
you.
said what I said.
I could be like a snow bunny forever. Like, I could
Yes.
probably live in Alaska and be the happiest person ever all the
Same.
time.
We should
Mhm.
move.
Let's go. Alright. So, I think I just need to find an Alaskan boyfriend, right? Yeah.
I want a Viking.
Huh?
I want a Viking.
Ooh, ooh, that would be awesome. I
I
kinda
want a
have a thing for
Viking.
Vikings, right?
I've
Yeah.
already had, you know what? I have blonde hair, blue eyed. I had a different one.
Mhm.
I've had. I want a Viking. Okay, I'm done. I want a
Me too.
Viking.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Um,
I think I could have a husband and a boyfriend. My husband says he's okay with me having a boyfriend, so that's a whole different conversation. But anyway, let's move on to the drinks.
let's move on to. I think I've been off in the drink a little bit today already. So, all right, our cocktail tonight is called the Long Night. It's one of my favorites. It's a really pretty drink. Not only is it pretty, it tastes so refreshing. And I'm going to tell you now, with it being so hot, I wanted something that was like, it just kind of felt, I don't know, like I wasn't getting bogged down. So, and this one's going to be like your muddled ingredients, and you want to make sure like that mint, you just really, really want to like make sure you have fresh mint for it. So your recipe is 12 raspberries, 6 mint leaves, 2 ounces of any bourbon. I personally choose and use um really and truly, I like honestly a really good Jim
Mhm.
Beam. I'm a Jim Beam girl. But
Oh my god, me too.
my bourbon is gonna be a Jim Beam.
That's my
And
favorite. That's all I really ever drink.
but I've made this drink with multiple different bourbons. They all came
Right.
out great. I just personally prefer Jim.
Mhm.
And then 2 ounces of cranberry juice, half lime, half ounce simple syrup, 1 sprig of mint. You're gonna put your raspberries and your mint in your highball glass, and you're just gonna muddle. Just you want to like emulsify these things. Fill the glass with ice, your bourbon, all your stuff. Garnish with the mint, stir, and voila. And I make so this goes in a highball glass. Now you have to remember when I make these
Mhm.
at work or if I make these for other people, I make them in a highball glass. But when I make them for myself, they are in my handy dandy tumbler
Right.
because I
Yeah.
make big drinks. So,
Mm.
but it's a highball glass. So when you see me with this, just know that I make like 4 of them for this or 5 of them, whatever goes
Mm.
in here.
So, speaking of, Jim Beam girls, because literally, swear, that is literally my favorite whiskey. That's all you will find in my home. My husband had to train him right. He knows not to buy. I mean, I'll dabble with some Jack Daniels, but Jim is my man. So,
Okay, so
um,
I love Jack. I'm a Jack on the
yeah,
Rocks kind of girl, but it makes
me
me really
too.
violent and it's
I'm
not my
telling
friend.
you, me too. And even my short self, like barf right after
So I
barf right.
learned
Anyway,
that I just don't need to drink that. But if I
right.
now, I love a good gentleman Jack on the rocks, and that's a party. That's a party for one, where
Yeah.
we turn off the phone. We don't talk to
Mhm.
anybody, and I stick to things that are more uh on the less dangerous side for everyone
I do
involved.
think that there's a distinctive difference between the 2. One's a sour mash Jack Daniels and one is a bourbon.
Yep.
So there is a distinctive difference there. But if anyone wants to contribute to our love for Mr. Jim Beam, buy us a drink.
Absolutely, and I can use them right now. It's been a lot
Right?
going
Oh,
on.
I have some. Um,
So,
yeah.
but no,
Too
so
hot
I
to
have
drink. Like I can't even ugh. Too hot to drink here. But
yeah,
so it's too hot to throw up the merch links of blankets and hoodies. So buy a cocktail
we have we
glass.
have glasses and we have t-shirts and stickers.
Mhm. Yep.
Um,
All
so
kinds of stuff. And you know
we have
what?
other
There are
options.
there are slides. I don't have them up here tonight, but there are slides so you could wear them by the
I'm
pool.
actually I am
Slip
going to order a
resistant.
pair to wear when we're mud riding.
And come sit by my pool with me.
Yes.
If people actually
Yes.
knew how I lived, but yeah. Co come sit by my pool. Um,
Yes.
so now you've gone through all that, let us introduce this case. Now that we've
So,
wasted several minutes of your time.
yes, here we are. Um, all right. This one was actually sent to us. And this came from one of our followers who was like, "Have you ever heard of this?" And coincidentally, I had heard it mentioned from a friend of mine who's from the area, but I had never looked into it. I'd never really done any deep. I mean, of course, you hear about like you see something
Mhm,
in a Facebook group and you read it a little bit and you go on, or somebody mentions it. But this one, when it got sent to us, I was like, you know what? Let's look into it. It seems kind of interesting. And girl, when we got into this,
mhm.
I will tell you, I think you and I probably collectively
Oh my god,
spent
you guys, one night we spent like 2 hours on the phone just dissecting this, like,
like there were
literally. I
well,
mean,
and when I tell people, like, I want you to understand this is going to be such a rabbit hole.
mhm,
And
there's some
just
twists.
like there's the twists and turns, but then the questions that go into this. And I don't know for any of our listeners out there who may know this case or have actually listened to anything on it. There's been some pretty in depth, uh, I guess you could say, shows done about it. Um, but even the stuff that we found and we listened to, the questions are just insane. So tonight we're going to be talking about Terry Leanne Beavers, Missy Bevers to her friends. Um, yes, beautiful woman,
Mhm,
mother of 3, wife,
mhm,
avid fitness guru, fitness trainer. Um, just the description that I've read and everything that the people that I've talked to all say the same thing. This woman was vibrant and she was just like a loving
mhm,
mother. She was a special ed teacher. She taught special education for a couple of years before she had her first daughter. So, like, this is just a woman who all around gives off this good vibe, I guess you could say.
mhm,
And we're gonna be going and diving out of Midlothian, Texas. Yeah,
mhm.
small town.
Super
Everybody
hot
kind of
there.
knows everybody.
It's super hot there right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
super duper hot.
really hot.
So Missy was born on August 9th, 1970 in Graham, Texas. She was the middle child of her family. She was born Terry Lee Ann Strickland and went by the nickname Missy for most of her life. Missy met her husband Brandon, and the couple actually married on June 20th of 1998. She went back to school and then started working as a teaching assistant. And then she landed a job where she was working in special education, which everybody kind of said was a calling for her. It was perfect for her.
Mhm.
And then after Missy and Brandon welcomed their first child together, um, Missy was already kind of questioning wanting to stay home. Then after they welcomed their second and third, she decided that she wanted to stay home with her children. So as her kids got older, she decided that she wanted to go back and have a career, but she wanted something that gave her some
Mhm.
freedom,
Freedom,
you
yeah.
know, so that she still had the flexibility to be with her kids all the time and do things with them.
The
So
dream.
she started her career in fitness and she became an instructor through a thing called Camp Gladiator. Now, I kind of went to like digging in and like looking into this, and apparently she started out. She was a fitness instructor for a gym, like a local gym, an anytime fitness type place. And that's where she started out. And then she met someone who talked her into taking these training courses, and she got into Camp Gladiator, which gave her even more flexibility because these classes were held um, super early in the morning. Like I went and actually found the Camp Gladiator schedule, and these classes ran Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5 a.m.
Mm.
Um, at Creekside Church of Christ in Midlothian, and they ran Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. at the Midlothian Conference Center. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, they ran at 5 a.m. at the Midlothian Conference Center. And then Tuesday, Thursday at 5:40. And then Tuesday, Thursday at 7. So she had a really flexible schedule
Mhm.
of but this is their whole schedule. Now she didn't teach every single one of these. Missy taught the 5 a.m. schedule at Creekside Church of Christ in Midlothian. She was not a member of the church. However, what I did find out about this Camp Gladiator thing is they are like they're in a parking lot. So they are like I guess CrossFit type thing is the way you would describe them.
Mhm.
Um, but they teach these courses in like parking lots and parks, like under pavilions. Um, but they have a set place that they know. So Creekside Church allowed them to host this in their parking lot in the mornings at 5 a.m. So she would do her classes, finish that up, and I think the class only ran an hour. I found one account that said an hour, one that said 2 hours, but from what I gather, an hour. Let's go with that.
Right, roughly, yeah.
Because everybody said that it was more or less like she may run a little over, but an hour. So
Mhm.
she decides this is a really great thing. She gets into it. She takes the 5 week training course, and that really just spirals her into becoming one of the top trainers for Camp Gladiator. And so then obviously will lead up to her going through all these things. Her and Brandon's marriage, from what I've gathered, was not exactly always peaches and sunshine. There
But then again,
was
whose is, you know?
exactly, but there was some infidelities.
Mm.
Um, there were a lot of things that I believe leading up to getting into her case should not to paint the victim. Nobody deserves what happened to this woman. However, understand that some of the things that we've listened to, they don't want to bring up that there were these things that did go on, and these are proven. Brandon himself has admitted that there were major infidelities in the marriage and that they had gone through these hardships in these times and they were supposed to be like basically rededicating their marriage to each other or whatever. So before we dive into it and before people come for us telling the facts really don't care about your feelings. And the truth of the matter is, these are real things that went on in these
Mhm.
people's lives. So, with that being said, um, Missy had started sharing like loving messages on Facebook and these things. So let's fast forward now that we know kind of what she did. April the 17th of 2016, normal morning. She posted on her Facebook the night before. Now, Missy had about 15 to 1600 friends on her Facebook. This is pertinent because I went and looked. um, she posted on her Facebook at some point at the night before. I think it was like 9 o'clock. She said she was going to
Mhm.
bed. She had an early morning the next day. I actually went and found the Facebook post where she said, rain or shine. It had been raining for days. And she said, rain or shine, we will have our workout session in the morning. If the weather is too bad, we're going to do it under this like overhang area that's like the front of the church.
Mm.
It's too bad and we can't do that. We're going to move inside. Okay. So this is a post that was made the night before. She clarifies this is where she's going to be. At approximately, so let's see. I think the first thing that we see on camera is at 3:50 a.m. Okay. So on April 18th at 2016 a.m. or 2016 3:50 a.m., the surveillance footage at the church captures an unknown individual breaking into the Creekside Church of Christ in Midlothian, Texas, where Missy is supposed to be teaching this class at 5 a.m. The mystery person is seen on surveillance, dressed head to toe in replica or vintage SWAT tactical riot gear. Okay. This individual is on the camera pacing the empty, dark halls of the church. They break. So I don't know if it's a window. We can't see it on the footage, but they break something and they're just kind of aimlessly walking around the church like they're waiting for someone.
I mean, didn't so there's some photos here.
Yes. And there was a video
It
released. We're going
actually
to get into
said
all that.
I have the video.
Um,
It actually
so,
says police on the back of his
yes.
so he was
So,
totally whomever this was totally stalking this place out,
oh,
obviously.
well, 100%. Now, some of the things that I have gone through and read, people are saying, this was a wrong place, wrong time. This was a robbery gone wrong. But we're going to get into all of these things
Mm.
that I don't agree with any of those statements. Now, Missy had some people that were known as early birds. They like to get to the church or to these workouts at around 4:30 a.m. This was very common. I think it was like the same people every time, if I had to take a really educated guess.
Probably.
So nothing unusual. 4:30 a.m. You got your early birds that are going to show up. Remember, this is 3:50 a.m. This person is in the church walking around. They've broken some things, but in the video that we're going to show later on, this person walking around. It's not like they're looking to rob anything. They're not
It
going
doesn't
in these.
appear that way. Even
No,
like right now, like just looking at these pictures here, there's
exactly.
one and then here's several in a row. It doesn't, I mean, to me, in my opinion, they are looking at the layout. They're looking like what's the best escape route. They're looking to just gather the layout of this building, is my opinion of this.
Yes.
Because they're not
Um,
looking to, it doesn't appear that they're trying to steal anything or they're looking for something or someone. They're just kind of wandering. It's very strange.
so that's what's the big thing. And I actually went and put together an entire timeline that took, well, the amount of
Yeah.
hours that I pieced
We've been
together
working
and
on this
talked to
one for
people.
about a month, I think. It's been about a month.
Oh yeah, easy. So the day of this occurrence, I actually went down, and so we're going to talk about the timeline before we get into the details of everything, because I think the timeline is so important to lead up to this. at, and this is the day of Missy's murder. Um, the assailant comes in and is seen on camera the first time at 3:50 a.m. in the church. Now there is him in the church and then him leaving. Okay, so this person leaves the church at 1:58 a.m. Going all the way back at 1:58 a.m. There is a Nissan Altima that enters a place called SWFA. It's a parking lot. Now SWFA sits right across from the church where you could see. Okay, and the surveillance camera gets this Altima on surveillance at 1:58 a.m. Driving very suspiciously, driving around the parking lot, turning their lights on.
Not only that, you notice in this picture on the screen, it's not really driving in a straight like pattern, like in which you would. It's kind of like driving straight through the parking lot, like making their own way.
But then they came in, they stopped at a parking spot for a second, they turned their lights off, turned their lights on. Just very weird behavior. Okay, so this footage gets turned into the police department after Missy's murder. SWFA finds this on their surveillance. Now, remind you, this car comes into the parking lot at 1:58 a.m.
I also like. Hold on. Just not to stop you, but just hold on a second. If you look at these pictures, and I don't know, this could be something identifying for anybody watching. Look at the passenger side front of that vehicle. So I thought maybe it was just distorted in the image, but if you really look, it looks damaged.
But I can't tell if it's actually damaged or because it was raining so bad.
But look, in most of these photos, the passenger side looks like it's dented. So just something that I was, noticing in our research.
Yeah.
You never know. Somebody could identify it, based on that information. So
anyway. Now the vehicle enters into SWFA parking lot. This is a big outdoor store. It's like a gun store. It's like a big sport and goods store. Enters into the parking lot at 1:58 a.m. At 2:04 a.m., the Altima exits the SWFA parking lot. At 2:23 a.m., a search warrant for Google. Now, I don't know where this, I don't know how this correlates into it. This was in the files that I received on our FOIA. A search warrant for Google stated motion activated cameras in building are first activated, but they do not capture any person or cause of activation. Very peculiar.
Right.
At 3:50 a.m., suspect first appears on video surveillance coming out of room 8 into the north hall of the Creekside Church. At 3:58 a.m., the earliest timestamp of footage released to the public. Now, remember, when we're going to talk about why this timeline and all of this is so important, because of the amount of information that is not out there. And there's Missy's post.
Her original post, yeah.
So the earliest timestamp that has been released to the public was at 3:58 a.m. So from 3:50 when the person is on video to 3:58, we don't really know, because at 3:58 is when it's like the portion that was given to the public. Now the first video, which is on the Midlothian, that the Midlothian Police Department posted, starts with the killer putting like tools on their tactical vest. And the timestamp starts at 3:58 and 22 seconds. And
now I'm not sure if I was able to retrieve the entire video, but I did get some portion of it. If you want me to just go ahead and roll it, let me know.
I want to play, after we go through the timeline, I want to play the video so that like I can point out to where there's so much more of this video that we don't have. And it's not released.
I grabbed it from a news outlet, so I don't know what exactly is there.
Yeah. So at 3:58, we see the timestamp. That's what we get. At 3:50, we know that that's the first time they were on video. At 4:16 a.m., Missy's truck is shown on an inside surveillance camera actually caught her driving in. Not an outside surveillance camera. None of those were working. We're going to get to all that. But an inside camera that was shooting down the hallway gets her truck coming into the parking lot at 4:16 a.m. At 4:18 a.m., Missy appears on video walking into the church doors at the awning entrance where she had said, if the weather's too bad, we're going to do it under the awning. If not, we're going inside. So she parks under the awning and says, you know what, I'm going to go in. At 4:20 a.m., Missy is seen on camera turning her head like she heard something or she was startled. Maybe someone called her name. But whatever it is out of range, or whoever this person is out of range. You see her walk in and she turns like, I'm supposed to be the only person here. There's another person or something startled her. So she hears a noise, but she's walking down the main hall until she's out of range of the camera. Now, when she was out of the range of the camera, well, we know kind of where we're going with this. So these are motion activated. So as soon as she was out of range, it goes black. She and the killer were never captured on camera again after 4:20 a.m. Okay. So at 4:30 a.m., a driver possibly saw a dark colored small SUV pulling out of the church parking lot. Now, there's speculation that this information was given to the officers way after, like a considerable amount of time after the murder, and that the witness maybe wasn't 100% certain of this, or maybe it was the wrong date. So from the time that they got this and the investigation, so then now they're looking for this Altima at SWFA. Now there's this possible dark SUV. At 4:35 a.m., the first early bird Camp Gladiator participant is captured on surveillance waiting under the awning. At 5 a.m., 2 911 calls were placed. There's only public record of one, and it's without audio specifics. However, the warrant information that I received in my search said that Missy was found at 5:02 a.m. and that there was a 911 call made at 5:06 a.m. Now, someone says that a Camp Gladiator participant is the one that called Brandon, her husband, and told him that he needed to come to the church. There had been an accident, possibly making him believe that maybe Missy had been in a car accident, or maybe she'd fallen, whatever the case may be. But it is important to note that Brandon was not able to immediately rush to the church because Brandon was in Biloxi, Mississippi on a company chartered deep sea fishing trip. So he gets a call and he needs to come back home. Now at 5:03 a.m., the initial patrol officers are dispatched to the church. At 5:07 a.m., the fire department arrives on scene. At 5:10, your first officer gets on scene. At 5:32 a.m., the chaplain is notified to go to the church. At 8:20 a.m., funeral home services arrive on scene. By noon, now you hear me correctly, by noon, the crime scene investigation is completed and the entire crime scene is released. By noon.
Little quick.
Seems a little quick to me, but so with all of that timeline being said, the reason I wanted to go into that first is because whoever this person was, I do not believe was a robber gone wrong. Um, this
I
person
don't
knew that
I
Missy
agree.
was going to be there. However, I would like to note that I did file for a Freedom of Information Act to get a copy of reports, and I was denied because I was told that these reports are sealed. Now, the
Yeah.
funny part of that is even her family can't get copies of some things. I
Well,
find to be
that's
very
because
peculiar.
most likely because it's an active criminal case still, and, um, specific information being released in an active criminal case can
Yes.
damage the case,
However,
yeah,
some of the
so
things that now we've done a lot of cold cases and open cases that we've gotten information on. This is the most tight lipped group of human beings I've ever seen in my life. Tells me they know more than they're letting on.
absolutely, they know, and that's 9 times out of 10 when law enforcement is not it's when they're very tight-lipped, they know more than what they're letting you know.
So you're talking about a woman. Now let's get into the murder. Let's get into the actual nitty gritty of it. We've covered the timeline. We know that Missy was murdered between 4:20 a.m. and 4:30, give or take. Okay. Um, However, the brutality. We're gonna talk about that first. This
Mhm.
woman was attacked with a hammer, a crowbar, and I did some very in depth um, searches. And there's an actual website that you can look into, and I found that it was a confirmation there was actually a gunshot involved. Now, let's talk about that the brutality. Do you know how angry you have to be to stab someone
Mhm.
with a fucking crowbar?
And we've had this conversation invasively. We've gone back and forth. I mean, to our viewers, they think we just totally agree with each other all the time, but we don't. Um,
No, we
we've
really have a lot that we disagree on.
we probably should go into some of our own theories towards the end, but yeah, the brutality of it, the rage behind it, it was personal, absolutely, completely, 100% personal. Um,
100%.
you know, I, just
There
rage.
is an over the overkill aspect for
Mhm,
me. You
mhm,
had already so I found some informations and some things that were posted by people that were close to the family or knew details. And what I read was absolutely horrific.
mhm,
And whoever did this, you have to remember they covered themselves from head to toe. They plan. This was so planned. So at first, when the cops first started investigating this, it was well maybe this was a robbery gone wrong. Missy's purse, her phone, her wallet, the money that was in the church, all there, nothing was ever taken, and there was nothing that was actually out of place, like it wasn't ransacked. They
mhm,
didn't look for anything of value. And most people that wouldn't rob a church because they know that the money goes to the bank. So I feel like if
mhm,
you were going to rob something, you would have robbed SWFA, where you would have had an opportunity to steal things of value or get into more. They probably have more money on hand than the church does.
mhm.
But this woman was brutal. I mean, brutally attacked. I can't
Right.
even imagine what the person who found her.
Oh, what they witnessed, yeah. I mean,
I can't imagine.
to me, after the initial attack, once the attacker knew she was on the ground and she was a tiny little thing, she wasn't somebody that
She
could
was. She's
overpower anybody.
very little.
Right. And so once she's on the ground incapacitated, why continue to, why? Why continue? And that's basically what we were seeing is the continued rage in someone.
Now, when this woman shows up and she's like, "I'm just gonna do my workout. I'm gonna go home," and you do all these things. Her first off, we
Oops,
look at.
sorry. Oopsie, my bad.
Just edit that out.
What did I do here? Now I'm
I
all
don't
in
know.
front of everything. Oh, no.
We'll edit all
Sorry.
that.
Sorry.
So when Missy shows up and walks into this church, I have always said from the beginning of this, I tried to give the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe they weren't waiting on her. But after we watched the videos, we've read all this stuff, and there's so much. This is probably going to be a multi part series. We're probably going to have to do at least 2 parts on Missy's case because we've only covered the timeline. We haven't even gotten into like the people, the suspects, the amount of suspects in this case.
Or perhaps that's in part 2. So,
however, let's talk about the fact that the forensic call comes in at 5:06 a.m. 911 is obviously dispatched. Now, one thing that the family has confirmed is that her autopsy revealed that she died from multiple, now, keywords here, multiple puncture wounds to the head and the chest. The medical examiner was able to determine, and I quote, the wounds on Missy's head and chest were consistent with the tool the suspect was carrying throughout the building. Now, that tool that you see him or her, keyword him or her, carrying in the church is a hammer and a crowbar on their tactical vest. You can see them putting tools on their vest. They punctured this woman's head, chest, body with a crowbar and a fucking hammer. And they shot this woman. I want that to sink in.
They wanted to make sure that she was dead.
Now, the person in the video made sure to conceal every inch of their body. At first, it was said, and I will stand on this, whoever this is, I believe is, obviously, we're going to talk about my belief at the end, but I believe that I know who this person is after all the stuff that we've done, and I'm going to call him out in part 2 because I don't care. Come for me, fuck you. However, the gait, this person's walk is so, how do I describe it? Their walk is so
distinctive.
Yeah, it's very distinctive and it's very identifying. Now, at first, people were like, "Oh, it's the father-in-law." Okay, well, let me tell you. Let me go ahead and clear husband's name and let me clear father-in-law's name for everybody that's going to jump on that bandwagon. Brandon Bevers was in Biloxi, Mississippi, hours away, hundreds of miles away, the day that his wife was murdered. His dad and his mother, or stepmom, were in California, nowhere close to the state of Texas. Therefore, everyone that comments and says, "Oh, it was Brandon," I don't believe that her husband did it. I'm sorry, he wasn't in town. And unless there's a clone, take that shit. Do I like him? No, not a fan at all.
We'll get into that more in part 2, but
now, of course, the cops did look at. Of course, the cops did look at Brandon first because that's what they do. And they did discover in all of that they were having marital and financial problems. Obviously, the affairs came out, yada, yada, yada. So the cops sit down, they talk with him, and his alibi is airtight. He's over 600 miles away. So the cops come back out to the public and they give another press conference because this is a small town. People are panicked. Things like this don't happen. I actually had to go and look to find the last murder they had before this one. It was like 20 fucking years. They deal with like somebody stole a kid's bicycle. There was a wreck at the 4-way stop. Crime is not prevalent in this town.
So do you want to play the video?
Yes. Now that we've talked about the gait and what this person is wearing, I think it would be important to show that this is the only clip. Now, mind you, there is probably 30 to 45 minutes of video that's out that's the cops have. We have like 2 minutes that they released to the public. So now that I think we covered the timeline and we've kind of covered what this person's wearing, and we've talked about the fact this walk is so distinct, and the question, and you and I have 2 totally different opinions on this, is it a man or is it a woman? What's their height? What's this? It's a woman.
It's a man. It's a man.
Go ahead. We're going to roll. It's a 2-minute video. This is exactly what Midlothian released to the public.
It's a man.
You know what? I have 2 different opinions on that.
Man.
But I'm going to point out that when we first see them, okay, the mannerisms of well, hold on now. Let's see. I think you're.
That's a man.
So it's important to note, like, in kind of talking through the video, because it's obviously has no sound. It's important to note that once again, this person's like, if they were really trying to get in this door, you have a crowbar, you have a hammer, you have all these things. They put no effort into getting to that door. Notice that. They're just like, okay, I give up. If this person was genuinely trying to rob this place, and
in my opinion, he's wasting time. He's there for a reason, and what his reasoning is not there yet. He was there for her, and she's not there yet. So he's possibly looking around dressed in a police uniform to make sure there is no one in this building. And if for some reason there is someone,
no one's going to call the cops on the cops.
Exactly. He's going to chase them out like, hey, I'm the cops. I'm here because I got a call about a break-in. Get the hell out. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He's making sure no one's in there because he's going to kill her. And
I have said from the very beginning when we looked into this person was not interested in a single item in that building.
He was there for her.
For killing, to make
sure he's clearing the building in a sense,
That's what I said. I thought that, like, okay, you're checking the rooms, but also this person that watched the swing of this, like, there's no effort. It's like, I'm bored.
Because he's just wasting time. You know what I mean? I also noticed that, like, I could back this up in a minute, but he's got a little bit of a set of keys here. Let me see if I can back this up. Here, like, you'll see when he over here. See the keys on his hip right there? I don't know if they're car keys or just keys.
I couldn't tell if those were
they're keys. I've actually zoomed in on that video.
Was it keys? I wasn't 100% sure because I didn't.
What we do know is that, and firsthand, cops don't carry keys.
Okay, let's talk about things
not like that exposed.
So I wanted to dissect, number 1, the outfit. Okay. Not saying that I know, but I know.
Oh, yeah, you know.
Number 1, that is a really poorly done Halloween type costume. Or it is a vintage old I don't know. Costume, not old costume.
Like, I don't know. I could be wrong, but it looks like almost like he's got knee pads on.
Well, so
I feel like it's a piece together.
We'll have. That's the thing. They're wearing tactical pants, but then like skateboard knee pads.
Right, because I feel like it's a pieced together outfit, and it was for the sole purposes of clearing that building, making sure there were no witnesses and no one, like, let's just say he had encountered someone that was staying in that building, or they're going to be so terrified that they got caught and his outfit says police. They're not going to dissect his outfit in that moment. They're going to run.
No,
so he knew.
If I see a SWAT officer, let me say something. If I see a SWAT officer coming down the hallway and they're like, "Get the fuck out," I'm gonna be like, "Get the fuck out." I'm not gonna be like, "Let me check your badge. Let me check and see if you're wearing issued gear."
I'm in a building I'm not supposed to be in. I'm not gonna be like,
"I'm just gonna go."
Oh wait, okay, I might though.
Well, I'm probably gonna run
badge number, but yeah, but you know what I mean? If a typical person that's doing something wrong, they're not supposed to be in that building, or even if they were, but they're just there late, they're going to be so startled and go, "Oh my God." And I'm pretty sure if he had encountered anyone,
one of the things that I noticed with the outfit was the belt. Now, I know that, like, anybody that looks at these that doesn't will say, "Oh, it's grainy or it's not very clear." But if you look at some of the side angles and you watch the video and you pay attention strictly to the midsection or the belt, What I noticed was this is not a tactical, um, it doesn't have
Mhm.
belt keepers, like, as far as, like, I used to say that my friend wore, like, it
Mhm.
was like go-go gadget belt, okay? Like, you know,
Mhm.
just all the gadgets, your taser, your pew-pew, your handcuffs, your pepper spray, your, um, you know,
Mhm.
an extra set of cuffs normally, and, you have different items on your vest and all these things. This person is not carrying a full
No.
tactical
And
belt,
look
obvious.
if you look at this image on the screen, you see that shiny silver thing right there on his hip. Those are
Those are
keys.
keys.
Uh-huh,
That's what
I've
you
zoomed
said.
into
Those are
other
keys.
photos, and so you know 100% that officers do not carry keys on their tactical belt. We know
Yeah,
that. Pretty sure anybody with some common sense knows that, so that's
100%.
not yeah.
100%. So when you start dissecting this, this is a very, in my opinion, it's a very poorly put together disguise. Um,
Nevertheless, if you look at his shoes, they are tennis
the
shoes.
no, those are boots. If you
Are
zoom,
they? Well,
now
they don't look like police boots,
they
basically. Yeah.
are. Now here's what's crazy. So there was a podcast that I found, and I cannot find it again. Um, I think it was Gumshoe that did it. It was Tim Koval. It was Gumshoe. He actually had paid to have like these images enhanced.
Mhm.
Those are actually Under Armour tactical boots,
Hmm.
because in one, actually in the second one here, in the line that you just had, the second one, you can see what looks like a reflector. That would be like an
Mhm.
Under Armour symbol. That's where Under Armour places it on their tactical boots. And I know that for
Mhm.
100% fact. I just know what Under Armour tactical boots look like up close. I just know what they are. And
Right.
I know that those are Under Armour tactical boots that any human being can walk into an Under Armour store or order them online. And they're like $169. And they're absolutely the most generic boot in law enforcement.
Right.
Because if I
Now
went and did a survey right now and I asked every officer that I know, 90% of them are going to tell me they wear Under Armour tactical boots instead of the
mm,
actual issued. Those boots are too big for the person that's wearing them.
right.
Their walk tells me that those boots are too big. And it
I
is
noticed that, yeah.
important to note that in this video, Midlothian went as far as calling in a forensic podiatrist who has
Mhm.
testified in multiple cases. He is an expert in gait, like in
Mhm.
walks and gaits. He's an expert in that. And he testified, or not testified, but he told the cops that, number one, that gait being very distinctive and all these things, like he went down this list. So they had already contacted the one thing that he was not 100% certain on. He said that he leaned towards it. He didn't confirm. He never said 100% it was, but he leaned towards it was a female because of the chest and the way that their body, like, structure when they walk. And if you notice when they walk towards you, it looks like this person has a chest, like I have a chest. So there's the speculation that this was a woman. And of course, you have you believe it's a man. I do believe it was a female. I believe
I
a
believe it's
female
a
killed her.
man. It's a man.
And when we get into part two of
Now, what else is
dissecting,
very interesting is it looks like a white shirt underneath their
yes,
jacket there.
yes, uh, that was something that was noticed in another, I think in
Mhm.
one of the other, that when they open that Dutch door, the body language of, like, they open and they think the door's going to open, and then that is such a woman.
Mhm.
It's like eye roll. Oh my
Alright,
god!
that's enough. We don't know if it's a woman or a man, but anyway, I'm
Just
just very
saying.
curious as to why they thought that outfit would work, you know? And what did
Well,
they think would happen after they were on footage? You know, I mean, did you think that this wouldn't be blasted everywhere? I mean, you murdered someone.
but now think about
So
it. Obviously, their disguise worked. No one knows who it is.
well, right, yeah, but
Um, now the cops did say, "Hey, we want to talk to the person driving this Altima that was on video." No one's ever
Mhm.
come forward. No one's ever said, "Hey, this is my cousin Jim Bob's wife, Terry, whatever." Nobody's come forward. Okay. Um, the cops did confirm that none of the family at all are considered suspects or persons of interest.
Mhm.
And all they've said is, of course, they're like, we don't believe this person in the Altima. We just want to talk to them, which means
So
that
this this parking lot, how close is it to the church?
it is literally like okay, so I had to do like an aerial of it to look to figure out because I don't
Mhm.
do the north, south, east, west. Okay, Dora, like I just tell me,
Mm.
so I had to pull it up and look at the aerial. So to get to from the church to this SWFA, you can see the
Mm.
church from their parking lot. You pull in. Now to go back to the church, you would pull out, you would take a right, and then you would have to hit like a little intersection and turn back around because it's
Mhm.
a 4-lane highway with two going this way, two going this way, right?
Mhm.
So you would go down and immediately turn around and then you would be back to the church. So this person would have had to pass if indeed this Altima was the vehicle that went back to the church, they would have had to have gone out of the parking lot to the right, hit the turnaround, and gone back and then turned into the church.
Mhm.
Now, when you watch the direction, obviously they had to go right when they left the church because it's a one way.
Mhm.
So we don't know if there's a video that shows this particular car coming back past because we don't know if the cameras A caught the highway, number one, or number two, if the cops have this and just aren't releasing it. So maybe that's on there, maybe it's not, maybe it exists, maybe it don't,
Mhm.
which is really, really to me something that should have been released if they believe. But they said, oh, we want to talk to the person in the Altima.
Mhm.
We're just kind of like not saying that we believe that they're a person of interest, which is okay. But at the same time, this vehicle being so suspicious. Now, like I said, we can live in a land of delusion and say that this person didn't do it at all or whatever. I personally think that whoever was in that Altima was the quote unquote getaway driver. I think there were two people involved in this
Mm.
situation.
Possibly, yeah.
And when we get into it further, there's reasons why I stand on that. Is that person, there was no other vehicle spotted at the church. No vehicle seen leaving the church. No vehicles parked at the church. So did this person pull up at the church, drop this person off, leave, wait, go back and get them? Remember,
Mhm.
this is a fucking monster downpour. This person didn't
Mhm.
walk in the rain. There's no
Right.
water on the floor in any of these
Right. No,
videos.
they would be soaking wet.
There would be water
Even if they
marks
had
on
an
the
umbrella,
floor.
yeah.
No, there's
Right.
nothing. And it's
No.
so important to note the weather at that time because when I was reading and listening and researching, the one thing that everybody talked about is this was like they had so much rainfall that like things were flooding, parking lots were flooded. So this person and the rain had not stopped. And in the surveillance video at SWFA, you can clearly see it is still a downpour.
Mhm.
This person wasn't wet when they're on camera. Their first scene on camera, there's no footprints of water. There's
Mhm.
no. So I believe this person was dropped under that overhang and they walked in that church or broke in that church and entered
Mhm.
because we're like they know that they entered through the door by the kitchen. That's what the cops have released. They say they know where he entered or this person, but I believe there were two people and I believe 100% that it's a couple. I believe it's a
Maybe.
couple.
We'll get into those theories in the next segment of this, but we have hit our hour mark and let's let everybody kind of marinate in this information
Absolutely.
and go from there. Yep. So, you
We will
guys
see you on part
soon.
2 of
Mhm.
Missy Bevers.
Don't forget to go look at all of our other YouTube videos,
Oh, and
other
our
cases.
TikTok is now up.
Mhm.
We now have a TikTok account that's actually up, and
You'll watch me play with the videos on there and have some fun. So you'll be able to follow us and see little clips of the videos and cases we do. And
and I also want to tell you, please, everybody go show and love over at Unexplained Realms.
yay.
We've done a collab already, and we've talked about doing a couple of like
Mm,
different things. So
I'm
go
feeling a
show her
little
love.
unloved. Feeling a little unloved lately. I'm doing it all by myself, and you know, so got some fun new sponsors over there. So hit me up, check it out.
Yes. Everybody go show her some love, and we will be back with you on part 2 for Missy Bevers. Go check out, do your own research, let that marinate with you. And then when we come back, we're going to get into questions, theories, people of interest, and really dive into like hardcore details. Now that you know like the murder and a little bit of the details of the murder, let's really talk about the real hardcore stuff that goes into this. This was kind of like the
There's a
foreplay.
lot too. You guys leave in the comments. It's a man. It's a man. It's a man.
We're going to talk about it. All right,
As
guys,
much
we'll
as
see
I
you
want this,
soon.
as much as I want it solved, it's mostly because I know it's a man. Anyways, see you soon.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.